My name is Sarah. I am 35 years old, and for most of my adult life, I believed I was living a simple, lucky kind of happiness. I was married to Adam, 38, calm, thoughtful, and quietly kind. He was not the loud, dramatic type. He showed love in small, steady ways, and that was why I trusted him so deeply. Our life was ordinary, and I loved it that way. Every morning, Adam made coffee while I toasted bread. He always placed my cup on the left side of the table because he knew I reached for it without looking. In the evenings, we sat together on the sofa, sometimes talking, sometimes just sharing silence. We laughed at silly jokes, complained about work, and planned nothing more exciting than what to cook for dinner. I felt safe with him. Completely safe. Adam noticed details most people missed. He remembered how I liked my tea, when I felt tired before I said a word, and how I needed quiet after long days. He looked at me as if I mattered even when nothing special was happening. Lately, though, there were tiny changes. Adam forgot where he placed his keys. Once, he repeated the same story twice in one evening. Another time, he asked me a question he had already asked that morning. When I teased him about it, he laughed. "Guess I'm getting old," he said, smiling. I laughed too. It felt harmless. Normal. Nothing to worry about. I had no idea that our quiet, ordinary life was already changing, and that the most ordinary object in our home would soon reveal a truth I was never prepared to see. That afternoon, Adam left the apartment in a hurry. He kissed my forehead, grabbed his jacket, and rushed out the door. 10 minutes later, I heard his footsteps running back up the stairs. "I forgot my wallet," he said, breathless. He picked it up from the table and left again. Only later did I notice what he hadn't taken. His phone. That almost never happened. Adam treated his phone like a part of his body. He always knew where it was. Always. It lay on the kitchen counter, screen dark. I picked it up without thinking, only to check the time. My own phone was charging in the bedroom. As the screen lit up, my finger slipped. The gallery opened. At first, I didn't understand what I was seeing. The screen filled with images, one after another, of a woman I knew very well. Me. I scrolled slowly, my heart beginning to pound. There were photos of me sleeping on my side, my hair spread across the pillow. Photos of me standing at the stove, stirring a pot, unaware. Photos of me sitting on the sofa, staring at nothing, looking tired. One photo showed me crying quietly at the kitchen table, my face turned away. Hundreds of photos. Taken from different angles. Different days. Different moods. None of them were posed. None of them were shared. All of them were secret. My hands started shaking. The phone felt heavy, dangerous, like something I shouldn't be holding. A cold fear moved through my chest. Why would my husband take pictures of me without my knowledge? Why would he hide them? Who was the man I had married? And why did I suddenly feel unsafe in my own home? I locked the screen and placed the phone back on the counter. But nothing felt normal anymore. The rest of the day felt unreal. I moved around the apartment like a stranger, touching familiar objects that suddenly felt unfamiliar. The sofa. The kitchen table. The hallway mirror. Had Adam stood there too, quietly watching, quietly recording? When he came home that evening, everything about him seemed the same. He smiled when he saw me. He asked how my day was. He kissed my cheek and started talking about dinner, about nothing important at all. And that scared me more than silence would have. I studied him carefully. His hands. His eyes. His voice. I waited for a sign, guilt, nervousness, anything. But there was nothing. He laughed at a joke on TV. He offered to wash the dishes. He looked at me with the same warmth I had always known. Was I imagining things? Had I misunderstood the photos? Or was he simply very good at hiding the truth? That night, I couldn't sleep. Adam fell asleep quickly beside me, breathing slowly, peacefully. I lay awake, staring at the ceiling, my mind replaying the images again and again. Me sleeping. Me crying. Me unaware. How long had he been watching me like that? I turned slightly and looked at his face in the dark. He looked gentle. Vulnerable. Like the man I loved. But love suddenly felt uncertain. Questions crowded my mind, each one heavier than the last. Why didn't he tell me? Why hide something so personal? Was this about control, or something worse? I felt trapped between two terrifying possibilities. That I didn't know my husband at all. Or that I did know him and the truth was too painful to accept. As the night stretched on, one thing became clear. Whatever those photos meant, they had already changed the way I looked at the man sleeping beside me. I didn't plan the confrontation. It happened because the silence became heavier than my fear. After dinner, Adam sat on the sofa, scrolling through the news on his tablet like any other evening. I stood in the kitchen for a long moment, holding his phone in my hand. My heart was beating so loudly I was sure he could hear it. "Adam," I said finally. My voice didn't sound like my own. "Yes," he replied, looking up. I walked into the living room and placed the phone on the table between us. My hands were shaking now. "I opened your gallery today," I said quietly. "I saw the photos." The room went completely still. Adam's face drained of color. He didn't ask which photos. He didn't pretend not to understand. He stared at the phone as if it were something dangerous. "You weren't supposed to see those," he whispered. "Why?" I asked. My throat felt tight. "Why would you take pictures of me like that? Without telling me?" He didn't answer. Instead, he slowly sat down, his shoulders sinking forward. His hands began to tremble. Not slightly, violently. "I never wanted to scare you," he said, his voice breaking. "I swear. I never wanted that." My anger disappeared, replaced by a deep, cold dread. "Adam," I said softly, kneeling in front of him, "you need to tell me what's going on." He pressed his palms against his eyes, breathing unevenly. "I didn't know how," he whispered. "Every time I tried, the words disappeared. I had expected excuses. I had expected lies. I had even expected anger. But what I saw instead was fear, raw, uncontrollable fear." When he finally looked at me, his eyes were filled with tears. And in that moment, I understood something terrible and heartbreaking. The photos were not taken out of obsession or control. They were taken out of desperation. And the truth he was hiding was far more frightening than anything I had imagined. Adam took a long, shaky breath. For a moment, I thought he might faint. Then he spoke slowly, carefully, like every word cost him something. "Do you remember last winter?" he asked quietly, "when I went to the doctor alone?" I nodded. He had said it was nothing serious. Just tests. They found something, he continued. Something I hoped was a mistake. My chest tightened. The doctor said I'm showing early signs of memory loss, Adam said. Not now, but in the future. He said I may forget small things first. Names. Dates. Then faces. Moments. His voice cracked. He said I might even forget the people I love most. The room felt smaller. Harder to breathe in. I was terrified, he whispered. Not of getting sick, but of waking up one day and looking at you like a stranger. Tears streamed down his face now. He didn't wipe them away. So I started taking photos, he said. Not just the happy ones. I wanted everything. Your smile when you laugh. Your tired face after work. The way you cry quietly when you think no one sees. He looked at me through tears. I wanted to remember you. Not a perfect version. The real you. The ordinary moments that make a life. My knees weakened. I didn't tell you because I didn't want to steal your peace, he continued. I didn't want you to live every day afraid of losing me, or me losing you. I thought if I carried the fear alone, I could protect you. He reached for my hands, holding them tightly. I wasn't hiding another woman, he whispered. I was hiding my fear of forgetting the only woman I ever loved. I broke down completely then, pulling him into my arms. The photos were never about secrecy. They were about love. And a man trying desperately to hold on to it before time could take it away. I didn't know how long we stayed like that, holding each other on the living room floor, crying without words. My chest ached, but it wasn't the sharp pain of betrayal. It was something heavier. Quieter. The pain of realizing how alone Adam had been while standing right beside me. I'm not angry, I said finally, my voice shaking. I'm just broken that you carried this by yourself. He nodded, pressing his forehead against mine. I thought I was protecting you, he whispered. But I was really just hiding. I wiped his tears with my sleeve, the same way he had done for me so many times before. Love doesn't work like that, I said softly. We don't protect each other by disappearing. We protect each other by staying. He let out a breath that sounded like relief mixed with fear. What if it gets worse? He asked. What if one day I really don't remember? I swallowed hard. The thought terrified me, but losing him emotionally would be worse than losing memories. Then we face it together, I said. Every doctor. Every bad day. Every forgotten moment. I'll remind you who I am. And you'll remind me who you are. He looked at me, really looked at me, as if trying to store my face inside his heart. I don't deserve you, he said. I shook my head. This isn't about deserving. This is about choosing. And I choose you. That night, we made a promise: no more silent fear. No more carrying pain alone. Whatever the future held, we would walk into it side by side, honest and unafraid. Love didn't suddenly make things easy. But it made them possible. Life did not suddenly become easy after that night. There were doctor visits, long conversations, and moments when fear returned quietly. But something important had changed between us. We were no longer hiding from the truth. We were facing it together. We began taking photos openly, together. Not secret ones. Not stolen moments. Real memories. Adam taught me how to use the camera on his phone properly, and sometimes we laughed at how serious he looked while explaining something so simple. We took pictures of small things. Our morning coffee on the balcony. My messy hair on lazy Sundays. His smile when I teased him. Our hands resting together on the sofa. These are our memories now, he said once. Shared ones. One evening, as the sun was setting, Adam asked me to stand by the window. The light was soft and warm. He lifted his phone, his hands steady but his eyes emotional. Just one more, he said. I smiled, but my eyes filled with tears. He looked at me for a long moment before pressing the button. Then he lowered the phone and said, quietly, "If I forget everything, I don't want to forget you." I stepped forward and held his face in my hands. "You won't," I whispered. "And if you ever do, I'll be right here to remind you." That photo became my favorite, not because it was perfect, but because it carried truth, fear, and love all at once. I learned something important through all of this. Love isn't about remembering forever. It's about choosing someone. Again and again. Even when memory fades. And every day, Adam and I keep choosing each other. What would you think if you found secret photos of yourself on your partner's phone? Would you confront them immediately? Share your thoughts below.